Professor Lord, I'm going to, I think now move to you, Professor Harb, if I may, unless any of the participants who are in the meeting now have any questions they want to raise at this point regarding what Professor Laurent Kleineberg has run through with you. If you have, unmute yourselves. But I don't think anybody's going to do that. So if I might ask you, Professor Harb, can I ask you to take over and deal with the other points that you are going to deal with, and also deal with those questions you've already received?
Thank you very much, Mr. Praddy, for the introduction. At the outset, I would like to welcome all the participants and special welcome to my colleagues from the Research Authority in Egypt. Okay. Actually, I have received several questions during the previous period regarding the postgraduate certificate and fellowship program, and I have gathered all these questions and prepared a small PowerPoint presentation to answer these questions in details. So what I'm going to do now is going to run the presentation and try to answer each of these questions in more details. Okay?
Please go ahead, Professor. I'm going to mute myself again just so you can take over with no background noise.
Okay, just a moment. I guess you now can see the presentations, the slides.
Okay, we see this.
Okay. Typically, most of the questions revolve around the program structure, how long the program and the fellowship is, and when our program begins, what are the graduation requirements, how many courses do you take in the program, is the program full-time or part-time program, is there any residency requirements for the program, what are the program assessment methods, and how can the postgraduate certificate and fellowship program elevate your legal career? The first question is, how long is the postgraduate certificate and fellowship program? According to our academic calendar and the program timeline, the program duration should not be less than 5 months and should not exceed 8 months. It depends upon the time you allocate for your study weekly. Ideally, the program can be easily completed in 6 months, assuming that you allocate 10 to 14 hours for study weekly. The suggested allocated time covers attending live lectures, reading materials, and completing assignments and home tasks. When our program begins, it is planned to start the program during the last week of January 2025. However, it should be noted that the program will start only if the minimum number of students has been reached. Thus, the start date is subject to change. Registered students will be notified by email in case of any change regarding the start date. But actually, I encourage all prospective participants to register as soon as possible in the program just to reserve their place, because most probably the start will be as planned during the last week of January 2025. What are the graduation requirements? There's only one requirement in order to obtain the prestigious postgraduate certificate of EUCLID and be admitted as a fellow of the School of Diplomacy and International Affairs at Euclid University for 5 years. The requirement is a successful completion of 6 intensive international law and legal practice courses. The above-mentioned requirements just one requirement, it entails that you should interact with other students during live lectures, complete assignments and home tasks to the full satisfaction of your professors and instructors, and pass the final oral exam at the end of the program. As you know, we have 6 courses. 3 courses are to be delivered by the British Legal Center, and the other 3 courses will be delivered by Euclid University. Thankfully, Professor Kliniwark has just explained the pedagogical methodology of Euclid, and just after I complete my presentation, I invite Mr. Richard to just throw light on the methodology, the educational methodology of the British Legal Center. But for now, you have to know that there's difference between the 2 methodologies. The British Legal Center in general depends on live sessions. The 30 hours of live sessions, along with home tasks, of course, will be used for the 3 courses that will be delivered by the British Legal Center. Regarding Euclid, it depends on distance education as explained by Professor Kliniwark. How many courses do you take in the program? As said by Mr. Pradi and Professor Kliniwark, we have 6 courses, and you should complete the following 6 courses in order: Advanced Legal English for International Legal Practice, International Law and Treaty Law, International Environmental Law, International Litigation and Arbitration, International Intellectual Property, International Law of the Sea. And for more details, we have prepared a very detailed and informative brochure for the program. You can easily scan the QR code on the screen now to have the complete brochure in PDF format. And I think you will find it in the comments. If I may ask Mr. Abu Bakr to upload the brochure to the chat of the webinar. Okay?
Exactly. Brochure on the chat and the link of British Legal Center website.
Perfect. The next question is whether the program is full-time or a part-time program. Actually, the program is originally designed to be a part-time program. We understand that most of prospective participants are busy professionals. So we have designed the program to be a part-time program. It is ideal for working legal professionals, and as I said before, you should allocate only 10 to 14 hours weekly to complete the whole program within 6 months. Is there any residency required for the program? All the program courses are delivered online, either as live lectures by the British Legal Center, as I have just said, or through the Learning Management System LMS of Euclid University, as explained by Professor Kliniwark. Even assignments and home tasks will be communicated to your assigned professor or instructor by email, and feedback will also be communicated to you by email. Therefore, no residences at all are required for the program. What are the program assessment methods? We use both formative and summative assessments during the program. Performance of participants at various stages will be monitored and evaluated by the assigned professor or instructor. Formative assessments, such as response papers in case of courses delivered by Euclid University, will let students show that they are learning, while summative assessments, such as major papers and oral exams, let participants show what they have learned. A final oral exam will be conducted for each student at the end of the whole program and not at the end of each course. Just at the end of the whole program, we will conduct one oral exam through a committee composed of the professors of all courses, and you will be examined orally in each course, but at the same time, okay? The last and the most important question, I guess, which I have received is how can the postgraduate certificate and fellowship program elevate your legal career? Recognizing the specific challenges and of pursuing a career in international law, I have reached out to several EUCLID students and graduates who have either worked or continue to work in international law with the aim to provide you with a clear and concise piece of advice to finding your path in international law after successfully completing the program. As you will see in the pie chart, some students, some graduates or current students of EUCLID works for the government. Others work for international governmental organizations. Others work for non-governmental organizations. Others joined academia. Others work for law firms. Others work for multinational corporations. And others work for the judiciary. Others decided to pursue the PhD degree. And a small percentage of EUCLID graduates who studied international law have other positions in other institutions. It should be noted that international law is a highly dynamic work environment. It is not static. So this is attributed to the changing political and economic circumstances that require a variety in work style and of seeking employment. You will find international law that match our program structure. If you decided to work for a government, for example, you can work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the International Cooperation Department in any ministry, and you can work for the Ministry of Justice, you can work for the Ministry of Finance, for the Ministry of Environmental Affairs, Maritime Affairs, Intellectual Property, Policy Analysis, etc. If you make your decision to work for an international governmental organization, you can start applying for vacancies with the United Nations Legal Office, International Maritime Organization, Global Environment Facility, Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, World Intellectual Property Organization, World Bank, United Nations Environment Program, International Monetary Fund, African Union, International Court of Justice, International Courts and Tribunals in general, and for EUCLID as an intergovernmental organization. If you make your decision to work for an ungovernmental organization, you have, for example, International Federation of Intellectual Property Attorneys, Advisory Committee on Protection of the Sea, International Law Association, Greenpeace, Earth Justice, International Union for Conservation of Nature, Nature Conservancy, African Society of International Law, etc. If you decided to work for academia, and if you meet other requirements, you can pursue a career in academia. For example, a teaching assistant, if you decide to work with postgraduate certificate and fellowship after completing your program, you can join academia as a teaching assistant, and if you pursue your LLM or your PhD degree, you can be promoted to lecturer, senior lecturer, and associate professor and professor later on. You can also work for a law firm like the International Arbitration Group of a Magic Circle law firm such as Freshfields, White & Case, King & Spalding. Multinational corporations such as Microsoft, Facebook, Google, PP, Siemens, Shell, Total, all these corporations have divisions for international legal affairs. If you decided to work for the judiciary, you can join as a judge, prosecutor, or state attorney. If you decided to complete your study, your postgraduate study, by pursuing your LLM or a PhD degree, you should know that you have some transferable credits. You can pursue your LLM or PhD in international law and treaty law, and and you can have some credits transferred to your degree because of the postgraduate certificate. You have some courses that can give you transferable credits for your further studies. Other jobs like international law editor, arbitration reporter, international law correspondent, international law trainer, etc. Now I have answered almost all the questions that I have received. Just one moment, I'll have to stop sharing.
Thank you.